Welcome to the Q&A that I posted on social media yesterday, and we got a few questions from people. It was pretty last minute when Gus arrived and we were going to do the filming, so it was an idea that we both had, and we thought, right, throw out some questions and see what comes back. So I'm going to crack straight on into it. So I've got some on Facebook over here and on my Instagram here. So I'm going to start off with the first one from Salis. And it's, how do you avoid tension in your neck while doing lateral raises? Pretty simple one for me to answer straight away, because you'll be able to see me doing it. First, the biggest problem with the lateral raise is you're going to try and do shoulder abduction, okay? The problem is with a lot of people is they do shoulder elevation. So when training with the lateral raise, the upper trap fibers of the upper back, they're very, very dominant, and they're going to switch on very, very quickly when the load that you're trying to lift, for one, is pretty heavy. A lot of people, when they try and do lateral raises, the load is too heavy. The second thing that you've got is a lot of people are very kyphotic. So the first thing they do from this position is lift. So you're gonna have to teach a new motor pattern to the body, because over the years, your body's used to doing this for lateral raises. So we've got to remember that the lateral head of the deltoids are not actually very long, okay? The length of the head. And the way that we're gonna get it short is we're bringing these fibers together. It's not gonna be elevating here, because once we've got to here, that's the lateral deltoid in its fully shortened position. So the first thing we've got to do when we train, you've got to lift your thoracic up, you've got to squeeze your lower traps down, and you've got to use a weight that you're able to lift out to the side, thinking out to the side, without your traps elevating. Now, if your traps are elevating too quickly, you need to drop the load and then just practice in a range, an active range of movement to start with, that your traps don't start kicking in. Once you can start to master feeling the lateral delts and minimizing upper trap recruitment, then you're going to fly, because you're going to be able to improve the range and get the lateral fibers a lot shorter. But again, lower the load, work to the range of movement you can by using your lateral delts, and then build up over time. Second question is going to be, arms appear on non-training day, or not when you're not training, they're really relaxed and there's no muscle appearing until flexing the biceps. Okay, well this is something that I actually experienced over a long period of time. Not everyone's got big arms, all right? Genetics determine whether you've got big arms. Also the insertion points of the arms. So if you start to flex and the bicep peak comes a lot higher, then it can very much be down to your insertion point of the biceps. Some people's biceps are very, very low attachment points. Some people's are very, very high. Now, depending on the attachment point is depending on how much peak you will also get and how much actual tissue you've developed throughout the whole biceps. I'll tell you this, a lot of people, when I train biceps, they don't train the biceps in a locked position, so they very often don't train the fibers fully down here, and they don't train the fibers fully shortened up here. So one thing I'd look at is increasing density in the arms, and you don't increase density by just training wide and narrow. You train density by working into the shortened range and working into the lengthened range of the biceps, lengthen range right the way back here. So you've got lengthen, mid-range and short. If you master that and lock the biceps down, you're going to find that the biceps will grow overall, and you'll actually find that they're a lot bigger just in a relaxed position. So if you're not training throughout the full spectrum, you're not able to keep tension on, that's a huge reason why you're not able to see them growing. Both arms and shoulders from Andy Hillocks. Both arms and shoulders are weak point for me. I'm currently doing push-pull legs, upper body, lower body split, allowing me to hit all body parts twice a week. It feels like my arms are being neglected as they're at the end of the workout to tag on. Well, I'll tell you, Andy, push-pull legs, you're going to be training your body quite frequently, and you're going to be getting some of the big body parts trained very, very frequently. One of the things with the tag-on approach, which actually works very, very well, you're not going to need more than like 8 or 9 sets. I would actually say to you this, if you're putting tag-on body parts, you're seeing them as tag-on body parts. If you're doing push-pull legs, those exercises at the end you should be putting as much attention into those exercises as the ones in the middle of the session. Tag on doesn't mean you take it easy. Tag on still means you work on your strength, you work on your exercise execution, and you make sure that you are putting everything into every single exercise. You'll grow, trust me. If you're not, it's mostly down to how you're executing the exercises. Wow, Tom Barkley, how do you see the fitness industry developing over the next 5 to 10 years? Really interesting question. If I'm honest, if I've got anything to do with it, there will be a lot more highly skilled physique coaches here and personal trainers here. I love personal training. I'm a personal trainer. I believe now, moving into a profession where we're specializing in physique development, that the blend of personal trainer and physique coach is very separate. I don't mean physique coach, somebody that just bodybuilds and someone that can get somebody in shape. A physique coach to me is somebody who understands hormones, physiology, somebody who understands mechanics, somebody who understands machines, somebody that just doesn't write a training program and just get somebody ready for a show. I mean somebody that can take somebody through psychology, somebody that takes somebody through the whole process but ends up with a physique at the end of it. What I'd like to be able to think of is that you have personal trainers taking people through the foundational phases, and then you have specialists in the fitness industry taking people further. What's the reality of that going to happen? I don't know. I'm going to work my damnedest to make sure that that really starts to solidify in the fitness industry and bringing personal trainers through. We've noticed the personal training world that the courses are becoming more readily available for people. There's a lot of people becoming qualified, but how many trainers actually make a success? So I think we're still going to have the churn of trainers that are coming through working in health clubs, and I still think that there's going to be a bigger degree with the role of the internet and the role of the way this is going, a bigger level of more specialists, making it very, very apparent that there's two types of coaches in the UK or even worldwide. So I'd like to see that it becomes more of a specialist skill for people who are experienced, people that are professional, and people that are getting results. So Christos, by performing periodization training, changing from strength to hypertrophy phase, how do I assess carbohydrate intake during these periods? Okay, well first and foremost, Christos, one thing that I don't do is go strength, hypertrophy, strength, hypertrophy. Anyone that knows me knows that my primary goal is to build muscle tissue, and I can actually build my strength. I don't work down to 3, 2, 1 repetitions and purely build my strength. From a periodization perspective, I periodize my volume throughout the year. I always have a priority lift that I'm trying to work on, whether or not that's 8 to 10 reps, whether or not it's 6 to 8 reps. That stays predominantly in the early part of my workout. But the biggest thing that changes is the volume of my workout and the frequency of how often I'm training. So if I'm doing, in the middle of this off season, I was down to 14 sets maximum, and now I'm up to kind of 26, 27, 28 on some of my workouts 9 weeks out from a show. So if I was to train somebody for strength and hypertrophy, then yeah, calories have got to match the output of the training session, because at the end of the day, if you're going to get somebody doing a strength phase, they're going to get fat if your volume drops considerably. However, if throughout an off season you have 4 months and you go strength, hypertrophy, and you go through all the different phases, you can periodize it so that the calories may be at the same with the strength phase, they go up a little bit for the hypertrophy, and they cancel themselves out. You get the fat loss, but you also get the hypertrophy benefits. But from my perspective, I don't really cycle between strength and hypertrophy phases, so I base what I do on more volume and frequency. Callum, that works for us here, just asked me if I've still got his pen. Well, I'll keep it. And then Christos again, another question. In regards to workout volume, do you count supersets and drop sets into the total volume of a training session? Yes, because at the end of the day, bringing supersets, trisets, giant sets into a workout, I'm trying to increase output with my workouts, especially if I'm trying to make the training sessions more metabolic. Something I've done more than I've done before with this methodology is I've really done my best this year from going from, as I said to the previous question, 14, 15 sets all the way up, and now I'm hitting crazy amount of volume, but that volume output is in line with what's happening with my prep as I'm pushing into competition. Last year, to be honest with you, the volume was high quite a lot throughout the year. I didn't have enough rest, I didn't have enough downtime, and I didn't enjoy the process. But this year, I've trained hard in the off season, I've put tissue where I wanted it to, and now I'm taking the volume up. During my years, I've done several off seasons. Do I generally start with the same workout volume each year, or do you increase the volume as years go by? Well, I mean, one thing that I do is my workout tolerance has gone higher over the years, but what I do is I'm cyclical. I'm never going to go 35, 40 sets. It's counterproductive to what I want to do. It's counterproductive to the food that I'm on during prep. But what I will tend to do is start off a little bit lower in the off season, but just remember, year on year I'm actually stronger, so I wouldn't really not alter my volume year on year. I'm actually getting stronger, so my ability to shift more load for longer is the thing that's changing. So the biggest thing that I change each year is getting stronger, and then prioritizing certain body parts. That's the main thing about bodybuilding. That's the main thing about physique development, is continually working on certain areas. We have a question on Facebook from Charlie Webster. How often do you recommend training a week for fat loss, and how do you tell when doing an extra session a week would be unproductive for the goal? And then for adding muscle mass, what markers do you look for? Well, look, one of the major things that we look for with fat loss and muscle building is, are you putting on muscle? Are you losing body fat? Are you tracking the body fat with actual calipers? Are you tracking the weight? I did a video that will actually be on the YouTube page probably by very, very soon, which is about kind of like beginner people trying to get lean or trying to put muscle on, and where do your calories set and what's your calorie macronutrient breakdown. So that's worth a watch. But realistically, you know, you said as you're training less days a week, you feel better sleep and the results are looking the same. Well, this is interesting, because if you're actually getting better sleep, one of the markers that I look for is sleep quality, recovery, feeling happy, feeling energized. Last year I was training an insane amount throughout the off season. If I'm absolutely honest, I didn't enjoy training in the gym. I didn't enjoy coming to the gym. I was sleeping terribly. I was pretty stressed. I'd got a lot of work on, as I do all the time, and it just was not it was counterproductive to me. So is training more and eating more productive to some people if they're stressed? No. Find a calorie set point, find the nutrient set point, train 4 times a week if that's actually where your body's at and can handle it at that given time, and then leave it at that. And then we've got one more question, which is, I'm just loading up my other page. So the next question was, when looking at decreasing somebody's body fat, what are the steps you take with their training and nutrition? Example, client sat at 20% body fat, wants to be leaner and retain or increase muscle tissue. Well, look, 20% body fat, they will want to increase muscle tissue. That'll happen as a given. The number one goal for me at 20% body fat is to retain muscle tissue and burn body fat. So with that type of person, what I would generally tend to do is work out what calories are on right now, work out their current body weight multiplied by current body weight in pounds multiplied by 11.5 to 12 calories, and then slowly work from that low number of food that they're currently on up to the number that I've just worked out. In doing so, what I'm able to do then is be able to track whether the fat's coming down, whether the weight's dropping very, very quickly, and be able to make adjustments. But I have recently done a video on that, which is on the YouTube page, and you'll be able to see exactly the formula that I take, especially for somebody trying to lose body fat, but you will be putting muscle on at the same time. So, guys, I do hope that you found the Q&A helpful. I'm actually 9 weeks out from a show right now, so some of the questions were on kind of like manipulation of volume and frequency and that sort of stuff. I'm training 5 days a week. I'm doing 4 30-minute cardio sessions, and if I'm absolutely honest, my fat is dropping off week after week. I'm getting leaner, my output's not crazy, my calories are not super crazy, my appetite is bang on, my sleep is bang on, and it's really taught me one valuable thing, that in a lot of cases when it comes to getting somebody lean, more of everything sometimes isn't the best way to go, but the number one thing you should always do is know your client, know you, know what works for you or works for the client, and then adjust accordingly. So I hope that's helped. As always, guys, stay healthy, keep strong, and I'll see you soon.